First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for being upset that my older sister told my mom about her pregnancy and planned for termination at my wedding rehearsal dinner? I got married last weekend and have been waiting to post this in case my feelings subsided, but I'm still pretty upset. Last Friday at my rehearsal dinner, which wasn't even really a rehearsal dinner, just my family and my in-laws getting dinner together after pre-wedding preparation, girls getting their nails done, men getting beards trimmed and haircuts, etc. My sister asked my parents to go outside with her and apparently told them she was pregnant and planned on getting an abortion. I could tell they were noticeably upset when they came back, but that was common after conversations with my sister because she was a little bit of a wild card. The following day, my wedding day, my mom and sister were very distant and whispering to each other throughout my getting ready, and also spent most of my reception doing the same thing, just this time with my dad. My father missed our father-daughter dance, and none of my family made a toast or any sort of acknowledgement really that I had gotten married. I waited until the end of the reception and asked them what was up. My sister told me she was pregnant and getting an abortion on the 20th. I responded negatively and got angry that she told our parents this at my wedding, and then got angry at my parents for ignoring me my whole wedding, missing our dance and not getting any photos together. I got my husband and we left, and I got calls and texts saying I was being incredibly selfish and that my sister needed their support. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She could have asked for support the day after your wedding. She sounds very selfish. Not the a-hole. None of this could wait 48 hours? Of course not, because then everyone would be paying attention to you and not her. Not the a-hole. She clearly pulled focus from your big day. I am unclear as to why your father missed the dance. Was he involved as well? Congratulations on your wedding. Yes, at my reception. They were nowhere to be found pretty much the entire time. That sucks. Is your sister always like that? Hugging the spotlight? Usually, yes, but my parents make it very easy. Not the a-hole. Being pregnant isn't an emergency. She could have waited to tell them. Your parents are a-holes too, because they should have shut that down. Wow, that's a lot to work out. Let's enjoy the weekend and your sister's wedding. Can you come for dinner Sunday night and we can talk? Your dad missed the father-daughter dance. Freaking ouch. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my niece host her wedding at my castle? 28 years ago, my wife and I combined our savings, most of which came from inheritance after my father's passing, and bought our castle in southern Europe. It was actually a derelict farmhouse with some land, but it has a small turret, so our families always referred to it as the castle. My wife and I decided we'd rather have a small, basic house in our home country and focus our time and resources readying the castle for us to retire in and for our children to enjoy. It took years, but around the time our eldest was born, it was finally finished. It's not massive, 5 bedrooms and a small pool in the gardens, but it is our paradise. We've always allowed our families and friends to use it whenever they please, and have spent every summer vacation staying there with our children. Our only stipulation when people stay there is that the master bedroom is off limits. It takes up most of the 3rd floor, with the remaining bedrooms on the 2nd floor. A lot of my and my wife's belongings are in there, and it's also the room we have shared together for over 20 years. Recently, my niece got engaged and held an engagement party on Zoom at the weekend. When asked what ideas they had so far, she excitedly told me they'd actually been planning to ask us if they could hold a wedding at the castle. I was a bit taken aback, but didn't want to outright refuse. I joked it would have to be a rather small wedding, since they'd struggled to fit more than 25 people in the gardens. She gushed that she'd already thought it through, and they'd put up canopies in the field nearby. We don't own that land, and if all the guests stayed in hotels in the town, she would arrange transportation for us all to get to the villa. My wife and I bit our tongues, not wanting to make a fuss during their engagement celebration. But later, when my niece texted me to repeat what she'd said, I asked her to clarify the sleeping arrangements, and after some back and forth, it came to light. She plans to use the master bedroom as a bridal suite, and for the wedding party to have the remaining rooms. My wife, children, and I would have to stay elsewhere. I slept on my decision and spoke with my wife. On Sunday, I responded and politely refused, saying it's too small, and we aren't comfortable having anyone in our room. Both she and my sister blew up at me, telling me I was ruining her wedding and she'd always dreamed of marrying at the castle. My sister even said since I used my inheritance, it's family property, which is obviously ridiculous. Added to add, when we texted her on Sunday, we offered a compromise. No master bedroom, and either get permission/insurances to use the fields, or reduce guest count to 25. We even offered to host a small rehearsal too, but she rejected the offers. That is when we outright refused. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Do you know what your sister bought with her part of the inheritance? If so, good news, it's yours now. Be sure to let her know. Sorry, I missed the sarcasm. I'm a bit tense just now. Yeah, I shut her down pretty quickly in that regard. Well, yes, we've let them use our property freely over the years. That doesn't mean they own it. I agree. Not the a-hole. You offered a compromise, but she refused. This isn't just an extra property that you rent out. It is your second home and where you plan on retiring. Although I don't think it would be the end of the earth to accommodate them, the fact they expect you and your immediate family to rent hotel rooms to attend a wedding in your property is ridiculous. Also, all these plans hinge on her getting access to property that you don't own to host canopies. And not to mention that she will need access to the castle ahead of time to set up all the vendors and do walkthrough. It is a bigger commitment and expense than she realizes. Just an aside, you would also have to get some sort of event insurance policy to cover anyone getting injured or driving drunk or damaging the neighboring property. Something to consider too. Thank you. I hadn't even considered vendors and insurances, but you're completely right. I'm not even sure how you would get that kind of insurance in that area. I think one of the reasons she is planning to use the fields is when the children were younger, we'll let them play there. So I'm not sure if she now takes it for granted we can use that area, but a wedding is very different to 3 kids playing amongst the trees. Not the a-hole. It's your property, and they shouldn't expect your whole family to vacate the property so they can have a wedding in your home. That's incredibly selfish. For the next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to buy a wedding gift for my cousin when I'm the free photographer and not an invited guest? My cousin Leah, 35 female, is getting married next year, COVID permitting, to her longtime boyfriend. I, 25 female, am a professional photographer. I'm not an expert in wedding etiquette, so I'm out of my depth here. My cousin and I were never terribly close growing up, given our age difference and geographical separation. We only saw each other once a year growing up. We are the only girls out of 20-plus cousins, so we often got lumped in together, but we are very different people. For example, she comes from a small-town religious background, and when I got my ears pierced at 19, she told me unprompted that if God wanted my ears pierced, He would have made me with more holes in my head. Her comment didn't offend me, but given that I was, and still am queer and agnostic, her level and type of religious conviction didn't help our relationship. A few months ago, I saw her engagement announcement on Facebook, and when invitations to her wedding were sent out, my mom got invited, but I didn't. I wasn't hurt by this at all, given that my cousin and I aren't close. Shortly thereafter, Leah reached out and asked me to be her wedding photographer, shooting everything from the bridal party getting ready, the ceremony, to the reception. She asked how much I would charge, and since I don't like mixing business and family, I told her it would be my wedding gift to her if she was okay with it. Wedding photography often costs upwards of $1,000, so she accepted. I thought this was fair because I will be on duty the whole day and therefore won't be enjoying myself as a guest like the rest of our family. It turns out everyone else was invited. Her venue is 4 hours away, so I will also be covering my own transportation and accommodations. Additionally, it will cost me business since I usually do 1 to 2 photo shoots a week for other clients that won't be possible that week. About a month later, she sent me the link to the wedding registry and told me she was letting family have first dibs and to let my mom know as well. I wasn't sure what to say, so I just replied that I would pass it along. Then a few days ago, my cousin asked me what I was going to pick off her registry for her wedding. I was surprised since we had agreed my photography would be my wedding gift. When I reminded her, she told me that she and her fiancé are really counting on people gifting from their registry for their new house, and that most items are less than $200, so I should just pick something. Before I could respond, she went on Facebook and made a semi-vague post complaining about family being selfish and greedy when she needed support. I'm at loss here. All in all, doing photography for her wedding is going to cost me a couple of grand, and I wasn't even invited. I'm attending as staff. I feel like she's devaluing my work and taking advantage of my generosity, given that we're essentially blood-related acquaintances. Am I the a-hole for insisting that my services as a photographer are my wedding gift to her? Edited to add, to be clear, I don't think I'm the a-hole, but she seems to think so, and my family and people responding to her Facebook post were agreeing with her. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Is the semi-vague post on Facebook pointed enough to identify you? Because if it isn't, I would serenely ignore it because it couldn't possibly be directed at me. My gift is $2,000 of professional photography. If it is pointed enough to identify you, well, personally, I'd rescind the free photography and buy the cheapest item in the registry. Or, more likely as the judgmental a-hole I am, a cheaper version because I can't afford the expensive items cousin chose. Her Facebook post wasn't enough to identify me, so I did leave it alone. When it comes with family, I'd rather disengage than be pulled into their drama. My family is far too big to care about what each of them is saying all of the time. But I definitely like your advice. Lol. Not the a-hole. Aside from the fact that you gave her your skills as a gift and that she knew and accepted thus at the time, the rudeness of asking you what you were selecting off the registry is breathtaking. Did she work her way down the list, calling all the guests who hadn't purchased something yet? I have to admit, part of what shocked me the most was her directly asking me what gift I was getting her. To me, that was beyond rude. And yes, as far as I can tell, even though her wedding is almost a year away, she's calling up family to see what they're buying her. My mother got a similar message. Now, for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving sister $70,000 for wedding? I, 32 female, got married 4 years ago, and my 35 male husband and his family are many times over millionaires. My family is just middle class. Our wedding cost around $700,000, paid by him and his parents. Our parents gave me a flat fee of $10,000 for a dress, which they are giving to my sister too. So, my 25 female sister and her 26 male fiancé are lower class. Her $170,000, him $110,000. Student loan debt, interest made it grow crazy. An $18,000 medical debt and $35,000 credit card debt. Well, last night was my sister's birthday dinner, and she announced she was engaged and wanted help paying for her wedding. She gave me a spreadsheet of how much she was going to need for her dream wedding. Anyways, her dream wedding is supposed to cost $100,000, and as her only sister, I need to step up and help her pay for wedding since our parents only gave her $10,000. She said she needs me to give her at least $70,000 since I'm rich now. When I told her I'm not giving her $70,000, she cried and said it isn't fair I get whatever I want. When she realized I wasn't going to budge, she broke down about how I'm just using motherhood to be greedy and lazy. I have twins, 2 years old. I eventually told her I wasn't going to be bullied into giving her $70,000. She's 15 weeks pregnant, hence why she's in a rush to be married right away. When I tried to leave, she just snapped. I'm a bad mother since my mother-in-law stays over often. Anyways, she screamed about how I BDP for the first few months after giving birth wasn't real, and that I only had BDP to cover up I'm a terrible mother, and even worse wife since I wasn't well enough for intercourse for a few months. I told mom and mom told her. I feel bad for her since I know she's struggling, but I hate her for saying that kind of stuff in front of strangers. My brother, who is usually neutral, says I should forgive her since she's stressed from crippling debt and has 2 kids and third on the way. Her 8-year-old's dad doesn't pay child support. Her 4-year-old's dad pays almost nothing in child support. Families don't help either. Claimed I'm jealous of her since she's younger than me, and that since I'm over 30, my husband is probably cheating on me with a housekeeper and nanny for all I know, since I'm never home. I have helpers twice a week, mostly just to salon with friends and weekly date night. She's mad at our parents because they were more happy for me. They helped for the first 2 months. Our parents didn't want her to keep her kids, since she couldn't provide, so they refused to help with shower or anything else. She thinks I should have let her and her family move in my condo, since it's 3-bedroom, 6 bathrooms. She wanted me to put my kids in husband's office, her kids and my son's, and she and her fiancé go in my daughter's room. They live in small 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. She and her family stay in one room, and my parents stay in the other room. Reason is because world event happened and couldn't make rent. My husband is completely done with her. He said I can forgive her, but he won't. Our parents want to forget. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but like what? How can your parents give her $10,000 for a dress if they are also broke that they need to share a 2-bedroom apartment? Why would your sister ever even consider planning a $100,000 wedding if she is over $300,000 in debt and can't even support herself? This doesn't make sense. Is your sister just delusional? They downgraded after my sister moved out 3 years ago. Their place is nice, but not made for 4 grown-ups and 2 kids. Not the a-hole. You need to give me at least 70,000 because you're rich now. A good enough reason to not give her any money for her wedding. Not the a-hole. So her reasoning is that you are jealous of her that she has 3 kids by 3 different fathers, has massive credit card debts and student loans, and so you should show how not jealous you are by giving her your condo and 70,000 for her dream wedding. After the horrid things she said about you as a mother, and about your husband cheating on you because you are old, I would never talk to her again. Not the a-hole, but how on earth did your wedding cost 700,000? Wedding costs, from what I remember. Rings were heirlooms but had to be resized, $500. Reception venue, $140,000. Ceremony venue, $30,000. Transportation, $20,000. Photographer, $9,000. Planner, $11,000. Bride and bridesmaids attire, $70,000. Groom and groomsmen attire, $30,000. Entertainment, $150,000. Catering, $90,000. Cake, $3,000. Decor, $17,000. Invitations and favors, $5,000. Honeymoon, $60,000. Bachelor party, $35,000. Bachelorette party, $33,000. Shower, $18,000. Hey guys, Happy New Year! Our first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister it's a bad idea to have another baby? I, 28 female, had a big fight with my sister, 30 female, on Christmas who told me she's pregnant. Backstory. My sister, let's call her Sarah, suffers from bipolar, depression, anxiety, etc. Sarah had a child early this year. Let's call her Anna. Sarah developed severe postpartum depression / postpartum anxiety on top of her other issues. My brother-in-law travels for work, and even with the pandemic, has spent most Monday to Friday out of state. Sarah gets disability due to her mental illnesses and doesn't work. Our parents work, live out of state, and are high risk for COVID, and they help Sarah in other ways. I live less than a 10-minute drive from Sarah. Sarah had a breakdown and was admitted to the hospital where she stayed a month when Anna wasn't even 2 months. During this time, Anna lived with me since everyone else was with Sarah. After, it developed into a routine where Sarah would spend most of the day in bed, unable to care for Anna, and I'd have to take the baby. I've spent nearly a year now being the main caretaker for Anna Monday to Friday, plus trying to work from home. Anna has spent 75% of her weeks with me. The other 25% is when brother-in-law is home, or when Sarah's at my house with Anna. Even weekends when brother-in-law is home, I've had Anna 30% of the time as Sarah gets in destructive moods, and it isn't safe. My sister swears she'd never hurt Anna. To be fair, when Sarah is having a good day, she's a good mom to her. But she can't manage most days, and a precedent has been set that I'll be there for Anna when my sister can't. Sarah, brother-in-law, and Anna came over for Christmas. We were exchanging presents and I opened one for my sister. It was a pregnancy test and a onesie that said, baby number 2 coming August 2021. The only thing I could say was, "Are you serious?" with an edge to my voice. Sarah lost it when I wasn't overwhelmed with joy. I approached Sarah after a bit and I said plainly that I wasn't excited about this and I thought it was a bad idea and explained why. I told her I was worried about her mental health and unsure how she was going to care for another baby when Anna spent most of her life with me. I also said I was anxious about getting stuck watching both Anna and the baby. I told her that I wouldn't do it unless they paid me to be their full-time nanny. I told her how stressful it is working from home and watching Anna. I told her it's unfair to me, and her kids aren't my responsibility. I'm at my limit, and it just all boiled over. Sarah told me that I'm not being supportive, I'm shaming her mental illnesses, and I'm calling her a bad mom. She spiraled again during our convo and became destructive. My brother-in-law was able to get her to leave, leaving Anna with me. They got Anna the next day, and I haven't heard from them since. Brother-in-law is home through mid-January, though. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister it's a bad idea to have another baby? Edit. I do want to add that CPS has been involved since Sarah's hospital stay last spring. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I was prepared to call you the a-hole because nothing much can be done now that your sister is pregnant. Then I saw that you've been caring for the kid she already has. I told her that I wouldn't do it unless they paid me to be their full-time nanny. Good for you. Stick to your guns. She's using you. Sarah told me that I'm not being supportive. No, you're just not being her free nanny. She's not being supportive of you by trying to tie you down and negatively affecting your life. She spiraled again during our convo and became destructive. Oh great, she can't handle being told no. This is exactly why she should get help instead of pregnant. At least we can hope she gets both. Edit. Yes, I know she could have an abortion. Poor word choice. What I meant was that it's much easier to convince someone not to get pregnant than to terminate a pregnancy that they, however stupidly, want. At this point, there is probably nothing Opie can say to convince her to change course. She can only refuse to play nanny. I was also fully prepared to call Opie the a-hole. Who would tell someone who's already pregnant that they shouldn't have the baby? But wow, she's not the a-hole at all. The sister is a humongous a-hole, especially for giving a positive pregnancy test to Opie as a gift. She was all but saying, "I'm having another baby for you to take care of." Unbelievable. Not the a-hole. She can't have babies and expect you to raise them. Stick to your guns. It is not your responsibility to raise someone else's children. Not just a she issue. Brother-in-law needs a new job and to step up big time. Opie is enabling their behavior by bailing them out. I highly doubt brother-in-law would have knocked up the sister again if he was pulling his weight with Anna. This isn't a Reddit question. You need to contact social services and find out what programs are available in your area that would help your sister care for her children and protect those children. Thanks. I don't want to get into it too much, but CPS has been involved since her hospital trip last spring. I do appreciate your concern though. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for my former substance addict brother's dog's surgery, leading to its death, because I believed he was trying to scam me again? Title is a bit of a doozy, but sums it up basically. My 27 female, brother 32 male, has struggled with addiction for a long portion of his life. It started when I was in middle school, and he would steal my parents' money, sell their things, and stole medication from some of our relatives. My parents would tell me to never trust my brother, and nearly everything valuable in our home was kept under lock and key. My parents were always trying to get him help, and after an intervention, they had a massive fight, and he just left when I was in 10th grade. When I was a college sophomore, he reached back out to me and we started having a really tentative relationship. He promised me he was getting better, that he was seeking help. He told me that he had been in rehab, but he couldn't afford it anymore and our parents weren't returning his calls. He even showed me an admittance form, or some other type of official-looking medical document, that proved he was in rehab. He asked me to loan him $3,000 for rehab, because he needed to pay tomorrow or they'd kick him out. I had been working my butt off, and that money was meant to pay for this semester's tuition fee. He ghosted me afterwards. Obviously, it was a scam for D money. You probably think I'm stupid for believing him, but I really wanted to believe him. I was just an ignorant college kid back then, who really wanted her brother back. After that incident, I learned to never trust him again like my parents originally warned me. Last year, he reached out to my parents and I again. We haven't met in person because of COVID, but we've had a couple Zooms and texts. It's just a really tentative, barely there relationship. I think my parents are just scared of getting hurt again. He promised us he was actually clean this time and wanted to stay with us for an extended period of time to prove it. He hasn't asked us for any money or anything, so I was beginning to believe he was actually clean. Then he asked me for $3,000 for surgery for his dog. He sent me the vet documents as well. Honestly, I was so incredibly upset. My first reaction was that this was obviously a scam, and he hadn't changed at all. He had talked about his dog / shown us pictures before, but I thought he had forged the vet documents. I didn't respond at all, even though he was begging me. I definitely had the money, and I've paid for the vet fees for my aunt's cat before. I love animals. If I believed him, I probably would have paid. But I didn't, and his dog died yesterday. My brother called me a dog killer, and even sent me pictures of his dog's corpse, so now I obviously know it wasn't a scam. He told me that with family like me, who needed enemies? And that is because my parents and I never trust him, don't support him, that his life turned to crap, and now his best friend was dead because of me. Obviously, I feel incredibly guilty. Edit. I'm getting a lot of comments/info asking why I didn't call the vet or pay in person, and I thought I'd just edit a reply to one of the comments into the post as well. I hope you can understand that my immediate reaction was very emotional, which made it hard for me to think of doing that. I called him right after, and I asked him what the surgery was for/the name of his dog's condition, and he couldn't tell me right away. He was like stammering and said, "It's something with his stomach, but I forgot the name," which made me think he was lying to me. So I just hung up and ignored all of his calls/texts. Looking back, it's not unimaginable that someone doesn't know the name of the surgery, but from my perspective, it looked like he was scrambling to support his lie. Also, paying in person wasn't an option. My brother lives in a different city. Not day haul. It's not uncommon for substance addicts to hurt their pets in order to get score. And there are rescues that will help people pay for vet care that they can't afford. Or he could have surrendered the dog to a shelter and the shelter could have found it better care. I worked at a shelter, so I do know a little bit about this. I actually think you're still being scammed. I wouldn't feel bad because he has burned you before. It's kind of ironic that it's the same exact amount. A little too ironic. Edit. I don't know how common it is for addicts to mistreat their dogs to get meds, but it has been reported in the news. It is something that is taught to vets. I have several friends who are vets, and we've talked about it. I'm not trying to say that all or even most addicts will abuse animals. Kind of ironic that it's for the same exact amount. A little too ironic. That was my thoughts too. Not day haul. Don't feel guilty. Your brother took in a pet he couldn't provide for, and when it became ill, instead of surrendering it to an animal rescue or a humane society, he chose to let it die in pain. If you'd given him the money, there is no guarantee he would have actually used it for the vet bills. There has been a recent spate of addicts injuring their pets so they can get opioids through the vet's office. Not day haul, and he absolutely could still be scamming you. How do you know that's not a friend's dog he's been lying about, and who was humanely euthanized for other reasons? How do you know he didn't hurt the dog in an attempt to get pain meds for it that he could use? And yes, this absolutely does happen. There's even a database vets can look people in to see if they've done it before. Even if in the end, he told the absolute truth and the dog died because he needed $3,000 for surgery, it's still 100% not your fault. His dog, his responsibility, and he has no one to blame but himself that his family didn't believe him when he needed them to. Even if he was completely honest this time, it's still not your fault, OP. It's a cry wolf situation he created for himself. He's at fault. The next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out after she refused to help me with vet bills?" Backstory: I, 21 female, managed to move out on my own 4 months ago in a different state to my family. I moved with my cats and one dog. My sister, 24 female, got kicked out a little over 3 months ago because she has a rocky relationship with my mother. She came to live with me, something I wasn't happy about. I thought I had finally escaped my family, and then she called me crying about being homeless, so I agreed. She's saving up to buy her first home and has a lot of money saved, $60,000, something she shows me on a regular basis. I am not that rich, as I just spent my savings on house deposits, university, and moving. She refused to pay me rent and made me out to be a monster when I asked because she was trying to save money. She drives my car, never pays for petrol, and 3 weeks ago, rammed the side into the gate. Something she said wasn't her fault until she admitted it. The insurance almost wrote my car off. I had to pay a lot in excess, so all my savings are just gone. My dog was in an accident yesterday where she tore the tendon in her leg. She's had surgery last year on it. She is limping, and I'm crying because that surgery cost $3,000. Now she needs it again. I asked my sister if I could loan the money off her, and she looked at me and said, "I don't have any money for that." I got mad, but I know she has a right to say no. It's her money. So I told her she can't live with me anymore, because she was the reason all the savings I had left were gone. That it's okay she's saving money, but I can't save money with her living with me. She is angry at me, so is my family. She went back to my mom's, and I've been told I'm not welcome while she still lives there. Am I the a-hole for kicking her out? I feel like it was petty, but she knew I had no way to pay it after spending so much money fixing my car that she ruined. Edit. The excess was $2,500 as I am younger than 25, so insurance has a larger excess. I told her I would give her back $500 when I get paid as she said she would pay for the car. She didn't. and is now saying she wasn't at fault. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I say escalate the situation and go block everyone and go no contact unless you get help to pay for the car. Make it about the car, then you will have money for the dog. Tell your family she flouted money in your face, crashed your car, and refused to pay rent. She can get bent for all you care. Keep emotion out and logic in. Yeah, this. Escalate the situation. They're completely disregarding you and playing favorites with your sister. You need to show them that you aren't their punching bag and that their actions have consequences. Not the a-hole. She needs to pay for the damage to your car. She's not responsible for the dog, but she did wreck your car. I told her we could call it even, and I just give her an extra $500 later, as she said she would pay for it, but now is saying she won't. I will go no contact. Mom doesn't know about the money she has saved, or she would make her get her own place. I will keep bringing up the car, but I think she isn't going to give me anything, so as of next week, I will be blocking. Thank you for your insight. I don't know if this is cruel or petty, but maybe it's time to tell your mom she has that kind of money? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not splitting my daughter's electrolysis fund? When my daughter was born, she had a veritable fur rug of black, curly hair on her back. It was super cute in a baby, but did not fall out like many weird hairs do on babies. Y'all, I cannot stress this enough. Her father is Italian, and she had more hair on her back than he did. After talking with my father, we started a small fund for her with the sole purpose to afford electrolysis in the future. Now, 13 years later, that fund is causing an issue. Essentially, there is about $5,000 in there. While she is not aware of this fund, and currently the hair is a light blonde and does not bother her, her doctor believes that by the time she is 16, the hair could become dark and coarse. While I love my daughter unconditionally, I also know that girls are often teased for physical appearance pieces they cannot control. Her doctor has confirmed that laser treatment might be uncomfortable but would be otherwise harmless and would probably solve the problem. Bleaching may be a temporary solution, but we would also pay for this from the fund. Recently, my older child has started college. Due to some funding issues with scholarships, we wound up owing $3,000 in tuition, /room, /board for the first semester. The second semester shortfall will be similar, but the issue should be corrected in his second year. Because I lost my job with the pandemic, I called my dad, who has set aside a similar fund for each grandchild, whether they have need or not, and he tapped my oldest fund. My stepmother is livid. She thinks I should have simply tapped my daughter's fund, since it was for cosmetics, and by keeping the fund, I'm saying my daughter's appearance is more important than my other child's education. I can kinda see her point, except that there are funds for all the grandchildren, and if she doesn't use it for hair removal, it is still my daughter's money. It is worth noting my father and stepmother have totally separate finances, so this money does not affect her. So I am, in fact, valuing my daughter's physical appearance over my older child's education, making me the a-hole? Not the a-hole. First off, your stepmom has zero say in what your dad chooses to do with his money. Second, you're not valuing your daughter's appearance over another daughter's education. You're valuing the psychological impact this could have on your daughter and your ability to prevent that. Both are equally important and both need to be attended to. As someone with an Italian father and lots of dark body hair, I 100% agree that this is about the psychological well-being of your daughter and not her vanity. Side note, OP, look into laser hair removal when the time comes. It's a bit more expensive than electrolysis, but it's significantly more comfortable, quicker, and significantly more effective in my personal experience. Not the a-hole. Kids are cruel. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I wish it wasn't so, but that's just the facts of life. That's not a cosmetic fund. That's a mental wellness fund. When I was in school, there was this one girl that was just ridiculously hairy. Thick black hairs. People called her the Gorilla Girl. Luckily, I wasn't one of them. Not because I'm a saint or anything. I could be a a-hole as well, but simply because I thought she was a cool girl. It did have an emotional toll on her. You're being great parents. Not the a-hole. Also, it's not as if Opie shames or forces her daughter or anything. It's just in case her daughter wants it or the hair become coarse. Good planning on Opie's part. Am I the a-hole for refusing to bake a cake for my sister and brother-in-law? I'm a guy and baking has always been my passion. It's something me and my mom used to do a lot growing up before she passed. My sister wasn't as into it as I was, and she liked it even less after mom passed away, but I continued learning. I'm not a professional, but I work part-time at a pastry shop while I finish college. It's something I'm teased about by my family sometimes, but I ignore them. My sister started dating her husband a few years back, and he joined the teasing too. I don't like him in general because he's kind of a prick and likes to make fun of me even more than my family. They are married now and have my niece who's 5. For the last couple years, my sister has asked me to bake birthday cakes for my niece, which I don't mind doing because I love my niece. And she's a fair critic when it comes to judging how good my cakes are, lol. They're gonna be celebrating their wedding anniversary soon, and she asked me if I can bake a special cake for them. But I told her no, because they both still make fun of me just because I enjoy baking. My niece is a different story because she's a kid, and this doesn't involve her. But I have more respect for myself than to make a cake for 2 people who like to tease me about doing something as girly and emasculating as baking in the kitchen. Something I told her even she sucks at. So they're both giving me crap over that because they really want to make this a special anniversary. My niece tight because of their financial troubles, and they wanted this one day to be perfect. My dad says I'm being too petty over this, and it's going to ruin the day for my sister and brother-in-law after the year they've had. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Doesn't matter that they are family. You have a right to decide what you do and don't want to do. Plain and simple. They shouldn't be rude to someone they ask favors from. Why are they always family when they need something, but not when you do? Simple answer? They're a-holes. Not the a-hole. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Perfect time for this saying. I hate that I didn't even realize that until now. Lol, it's too close to home. Good for you respecting yourself and respecting your skills. If one of the cakes they've been speaking down to you about ruins their special days, that says so much more about them and about your father than about you. Not the a-hole. Ha ha ha, baking is such a girly and stupid thing, and a waste of time, and we treat you bad. But please use those skills that you worked years on to make us something special on our special day without us paying you. You are not the a-hole here. They are. Your reaction is absolutely right. I love that, after everything, you have been following this passion. This is the best summary of this post. Opie, I wish you could make this your title. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for banning my brother from my house after I lost my dog? My brother was staying in the back house of my place because he was having a fight with his girlfriend and isn't staying in their apartment. My dog is outside during most of the day, and I told him a million times to close the damn gates when it comes to the house. Last Thursday, my brother went to his friend's house and got home at like 6 a.m. I was already gone for work and left my dog out in the yard. When I got home, the gate was wide open and my dog Maddie was nowhere to be found. It was so obvious it was my brother because I always remember to close the gate after I pull my car out. He denied it until I checked the front camera, which clearly showed him coming in from the front and not bothering to close right behind him. I was so mad at my brother I told him to leave because I don't want him in my house anymore, and I went out to look for my dog. Got called up by my parents later on since he had to go to their place, and they yelled at me for not being a good brother, letting him not have a place to stay over my dog. They already know he messed up by ignoring the one thing I kept telling him to, but that's no excuse to ban him from my house. I don't know, I'm just mad he didn't listen to me and now my dog is gone. So far can't find him at any of the shelters. I'm losing hope and it makes me even more mad at my brother that I don't want to see him right now. But they keep saying that's too extreme and shouldn't hold it against him when he's needing some support right now. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You have every right to say who is and isn't allowed to stay at your house. Should have apologized and tried to help you find your dog as well. Brother or not, if they caused the loss of my dog, is dead to me. Yep, there's no remorse or regret, no mention of an apology, and the brother hasn't even helped look for the dog. Not only did the brother mess up, he isn't doing a thing to help find a dog. Just went running to mommy and daddy because big bro was being mean. You are definitely not an a-hole. Your brother, on the other hand, is a massive a-hole. All you requested from him was to close a gate when he enters your property, which is reasonable. He couldn't do so, and you lost a family member as a result. If your parents want to berate you so badly, they should just let him stay with them. Maybe he will leave a door open and a burglar would get inside. If I were OP, every instance in the future I would leave everything wide open at the parents' house and see how quickly the parents' stance changes. Not a hole. It's like that meme, you had one job. Ed messed up. Ed is not homeless, staying at your parents' home. In my opinion, let him stay there and mess things up over there. As for your parents supporting him emotionally, they should do that for you too. That they aren't is inconsiderate of them towards you. Going with not a hole. If it was literally the only thing you ask, you should have kept track of it. Sounds like you told him enough. Honestly, the lying about it would upset me more. Just be honest. Help me find a dog and we can get around it. But the lying is just so bad. I have to trust someone I have in my home. If I don't, they don't stay. Mistakes happen. Lies, though, those are conscious decisions. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not quitting my job so my nephew can go to a special needs school? I am a special needs teacher in the Netherlands. I teach students ages 12 and up. My nephew is highly intelligent, but he has autism. He cannot relate to other students, and even though he is really intelligent, he has the mental age of someone that is 7, even though his physical age is 12, so regular schools wouldn't be an option. A few years ago, I got a job as a special needs teacher specialized in autism. I love the school I work at. Have amazing coworkers, and I find the students to be very interesting in a positive way. This truly is my dream job, and unless something changes negatively, I could see myself working here until I retire. My sister-in-law and I don't get along. She hates the fact I can get along better with nephew than she can. To be honest, it is very hard to turn off the way I speak to people with autism, as it is what I do for 5 days a week. So I can't realistically turn it off when speaking to nephew. Due to this, he responds better to me than his mother. I have offered my sister-in-law some pointers on how to understand him better, but every time I did this, I got the same old excuse of, I'm his mother. I know better. You don't even have kids, so you don't know what you are talking about. In the Netherlands, there aren't many special needs high schools that focus primarily on HAVO and VWO. This is where I get the most enjoyment out of. In our immediate area, there is only one. The next closest one would be an hour commute every day. My nephew is getting to that age where he has to go to high school. He can do VWO, and this would also be realistic for him to pass. However, due to a rule in my school, teachers cannot have family members attending the school. He cannot go to my school. The next one over would be an hour commute for him by taxi. If he's lucky enough to get a taxi to himself, they are often shared. In the Netherlands, an hour commute by car is really uncommon. My sister-in-law came to me to ask if I could put in a good word for nephew, as there is more demand for special needs schools than there are special needs schools. I then told her I cannot do that and nephew couldn't go to my school, as that would mean I would have to quit because of the rule. My sister-in-law threw a fit, told me I don't want nephew to succeed, and that if she was in my shoes, she would have quit. I told her that this is my dream job, and no amount of begging would change my mind. But if she wanted to, I could probably put in a good word for nephew at the other school, as many special needs schools in the Netherlands have frequent contact. After this phone call, my sister-in-law called my wife, told her that I don't want nephew to succeed, and that she should consider a divorce. So, am I the a-hole here? I know family should help each other, but I never thought this would mean giving up something I truly love to do. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You are willing to support with tips and guidance, and even reference to another school, but to ask you to quit is too far. There's a saying, you don't need to light yourself on fire to keep others warm. That applies here. Also, calling his wife telling her to divorce OP is juvenile. Personally, if I had a kid with special needs and someone I was related to could talk to my kid, I would be ecstatic for my kid. The fact that the sister-in-law is upset that he can talk to your kid is sad, because she isn't thinking about what's best for her kid. I'm a speech therapist and I have had relatives ask about their child, and when I pointed out some areas of concern, was outright dismissed after they ask. Unfortunately, I don't think the sister-in-law's behavior is that uncommon. It is inappropriate, but not that uncommon in my experience. When I first noticed some things wrong with my nephew, I was also dismissed right away. People rarely listen to family because they don't want to believe something is wrong with their kids. Not today, Hall. You shouldn't be made to feel bad about not quitting your dream job. That does seem like a weird rule, though. Do you know why that rule came about? Yeah, a couple of years ago before I even got there was a teacher who had her stepson in her class. She only paid attention to him, tried to make other students with special needs to solely work around his needs. Other parents complained, and the kid was transferred to another school. The teacher quit a week later. It was a whole drama, I'm told. Sounds like what they should have done was move the stepson into another classroom and under a different teacher. The school is too small. A special needs school only has 11 students in a class, and more often than not, only has around 100 to 130 students. This means that he would still be taught by her. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling out my sister's partner? Background. I, 24 male, have 2 stepsisters, 28 female/32 female, who I'm very close to. We were raised together, and although we don't share the same parentage, we have always seen each other as siblings, to the point where we all dislike the term step-sibling, as we think it devalues our relationships. My eldest sister, Faith, has a partner who is considerably older than her. I believe he is in his early 40s, not sure exactly. This is not uncommon in our family. And whilst I find it a bit strange, as long as she's happy, that's all I really care about. Now, my family is huge and very close. Christmas/Easter/other family events will regularly have a head count of 30 plus. These events are always very loud, very busy, and could easily seem quite intimidating if you're not used to that kind of environment. My partner has told me she felt very anxious about these events at first, but has since settled and loves the atmosphere. My sister's partner, we will call him Jake, has spent the past 4 years of their relationship actively avoiding these family events. He is the only child from a very small family who aren't particularly close, and he uses this as his reasoning for declining every single invitation extended to him. Nobody's particularly bothered by this, and nobody has gone out of their way to encourage him to join us. He declines, and we accept this without question. Recently, I was visiting Jake and Faith about an hour or so away. After a few drinks, Jake starts talking about how he feels that nobody in the family likes him, and it's sad that nobody makes an effort to come and see him and Faith. This is a common discussion he likes to bring up when we've been drinking for some reason, and not the first time I have had to have this conversation. I tried to avoid the subject, as in my opinion, he's had every invitation extended to him, so he's made it quite clear that he doesn't like to interact with us unless absolutely necessary. This goes on for about an hour or so before he says, "It's like your family don't even care about Faith, my sister." This is where I snapped and essentially told him to grow the hell up. I said that if people wants to make an effort with him, he needs to grow some confidence and turn up to a few family events, and then people will start treating him as a member of the family. He said he can't go to these events because he has anxiety, to which I told him that's a poor excuse for being too lazy to make the effort. My sister has since told me that I was out of line, and that I shouldn't have said anything. I agree that calling him lazy was perhaps too far. I also suffer from anxiety that would have crushed me, but I'm not having someone tell me my family don't care about my sister. As far as I'm concerned, he has made no effort to integrate into the family, yet expects us to bend over backwards to make him feel welcome. Everyone sucks here. Yeah, he was a whiny brat. I'm from a similar type of family as you, and we have huge events, and we frequently joke about how new people need flashcards and how overwhelming our family parties can be. It does take a genuine effort to pull new people in and make them comfortable. The fact that no one in your family has tried to do that part is kind of a-holy. You took it way too far in your conversation with him though, and while it sounds like you've realized you were in the wrong, it doesn't sound like you've apologized. My family have tried to bring him in closer. Perhaps I should have explained further. It's not like we expect him to just turn up and be fine with everything straight away. Much like your family, we are also aware that it can be intimidating. Over the course of 4 years, he has been invited to every family event, but has been to none. What else can we do? If he says he doesn't want to come, we aren't about to turn up at his house and drag him along. Do you guys ever have smaller events? Had your sister invited a few of you over theirs to smaller events? There are some people who could never ever handle the kind of event you're talking about due to anxiety. It's not about trying or being lazy. It's not going to happen. I have no problem with him not attending the family event. I make the effort to come and visit, and have done multiple times. Nobody mentions the family events except for him. The only one making any complaints is him. I can't be held responsible for the fact that other family members don't come to visit them. I'm just sick of being the guy that has to sit there and listen to all of his issues, when I'm the one who makes the effort all the time. Everyone sucks here. This may be a controversial view, but you both didn't behave well. If the point that made you so angry was that he said your family don't care about your sister, then you should have reacted on that comment. Explain that that's not the case, not attacking him at his actions. He, on the other hand, shouldn't whine about being left out when he's the one avoiding the family. If his anxiety is that severe, he could invite some people, smaller groups, that makes him feel more comfortable. I understand why you reacted like that. But telling him he's lazy and should grow balls when he's anxiety, again if it's really that severe, wasn't the right way to go. To clarify on the anxiety point, his issues with big groups seem to only crop up where my family is concerned. He and I are both big music fans, and he has no problem going to festivals in groups of 20-somethings, shoulder to shoulder in a concert crowd of 20,000. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for asking my sister to leave after she tried to kick me out of my own house? My 26 female sister, who I'll call Emily, moved in with her husband 29 male, who I'll call Roger, 2 years back. Emily and I were never very close, but we were family nonetheless. Recently, they decided to get their house renovated, and because it's been quite disastrous at their place, they asked if they could move in with me last week. I was a little shocked because we haven't spoken in a while, but I said it would be fine with me. Then Emily wanted to have a talk. She asked if her and Roger could have the place to themselves on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. I asked where she thinks I can go, and her response, I don't know, get a motel. She continued to tell me how I can afford a couple days in a motel, and it won't kill me. She told me it's nothing against me. It's just that they have their own traditions and like to spend a holiday together. They chose to get their house renovated during this time, knowing it would interfere with their Christmas traditions. So I asked them to leave. I can't put my life on hold and move out because they want to spend a holiday with each other. They won't be homeless. My parents took them in, but they called me absolutely infuriated because I refused to let them stay and wouldn't let them enjoy the holiday after all the trouble they went through with the renovations. Am I the a-hole? And now let's read the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm not even sure how you could possibly think you're the a-hole here. What an audacious thing to ask you to do. I didn't, until my parents made me feel like the Grinch. Ask them how they'd feel being asked to leave their own home during Christmas and pay for their own motel to do so, nonetheless. I'm a guest. Not the a-hole. Wow, what self-entitled a-holes. Leave your home on Christmas Eve and Christmas, please, because we have our own traditions. Not the a-hole. I'm starting a new Christmas tradition of kicking freeloaders out of my house. There's the door. If it hits you on the way out, it's a Christmas bonus. Not the a-hole. That's just insane. Who asks that? Be happy someone is letting you stay at their place for a while. Will they ask your parents to leave their own home now so they can have their Christmas? Or is it just you who they would ask this of? Not the a-hole. Your sister is off her rocker. Your parents are out of line too. If her and her husband want to be alone for the holiday, they can go to a hotel. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for making my late wife's daughter move out so I can date in peace? My late wife passed away about a year ago. We were together 10 years, but not married until she became sick about a year before that. She has a daughter, Beth, who is 19 years old. Beth is taking college classes, but they are 100% online, so she has stayed at home, which is my house. I've owned this before my wife moved in, so it was never technically shared. I've wanted to be supportive of Beth, but don't want her here indefinitely or until she's done with college. That's 3 more years, and it makes dating super awkward. I had a lady friend over after a dinner date last week, and she was snarky towards her, and later told me I'm moving on too fast. I tried to have an honest talk about being ready to move on and date others, but she kept calling me an a-hole. I'm just ready to move on with my life, but her presence is making that difficult. I told her I want her to move out at the end of this next semester, which would be the end of May, so 5 full months to find a place. She flipped out and told me I'm abandoning her to get laid. This isn't really the case. I just want to move on to my life and don't want to live with a 19-year-old any longer. She's still mad at me and is making living in my own home awkward, but she claims she can't afford to go anywhere else. Edit. I did not raise or adopt Beth. My wife was very clear that she was not looking for a replacement father for her. Beth never lived with me until 2 years ago when she was almost 18, when her mom moved in with me due to her being sick and needing more attention. I never played a fatherly role in her life. Before moving in, she and her mom moved every few years for a while. Beth didn't move in till her senior year of high school because her mom needed my help. Obviously, couldn't move the mom in without a daughter. Before giving her notice to leave, I tried to have a talk about ground rules for staying here, mostly including being polite to any guests of mine. She then went off on me for moving on with my life. That is when I made my decision. It wasn't exactly your traditional marriage. Before getting sick, my late wife never wanted to get married because her parents had such a nasty one, and her parents have been divorced a combined 4 times. I'm not religious, so never felt a need to get married either. When she got sick, we realized her insurance was terrible while mine through work is much better. So it was a practical decision to get married so she could be added to mine. Even then, she affirmed I wasn't responsible for Beth. I'm not just trying to get laid like many have said. I'm moving on and trying to have a normal adult relationship. Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Wow, this is every dying parent's nightmare. Edit. Opie's belated edit isn't changing anything about this you're the a-hole vote. Truly, my first thought when I read this. Not the a-hole. If I am reading this correctly, you and Beth's mother were involved for years but did not marry or live together until she became ill. You were not a pivotal figure in Beth's life. You don't consider her a daughter and you don't believe she considers you a father figure. When your deceased wife got ill, you and she married, in part so you could support her. She and Beth moved into your home that you already owned. About a year later, your wife passed away. Beth was almost 18 at the time. After your wife passed away, and Beth stayed living with you for the next year. You are now ready to date again, and it has been a year and Beth resents this. You do not want Beth to continue to live with you. You supported your wife when she needed you. You helped Beth for over a year. You have done more than could have reasonably been asked. Totally not the a-hole. This is how I read it too. Beth is not Opie's problem nor responsibility. Time for her to go live her own life. All these you're the a-hole responses are baffling. Edit. Especially since Beth inherited $20,000. She's hardly going out onto the street. You're the a-hole. She's not your late wife's daughter. She's your stepdaughter. I don't know. My mom got remarried when I was 17. I don't whatsoever consider her husband my stepdad, since he had no part in raising me. Pretty much all my friends with parents who got remarried around that age or older feel the same. Final response. After this blew up overnight, even though the top comment says you're the a-hole, it seems everyone who actually read all the details has affirmed my view. I feel much better about my decision. Thank you, everybody. On to the next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my boyfriend's family move in with us? Okay, I've talked to some people and received conflicting views, so I'm bringing it here. My 30 female and my boyfriend, 32 male, have been together for 4 years. We have 2 kids and 1 on the way. His family barely speaks to him unless they want money or favors from him. Now, me and my boyfriend's relationship is great. However, his family, mom, stepdad, brother, sister-in-law, and their son, have found themselves in a situation where they are losing their homes and want to move in. I said no, even though my boyfriend wants to help and doesn't want them homeless. Background. I have no problems with this family at all. I love them a lot. The problem is that they have lived with us before under similar circumstances. We got a house, and because of their situation, they moved in it before we did. Mind you, I had my second child and brought her home to that house a week after they moved in. They never helped with bills, although that was discussed prior. They never cleaned, they used our car, refused to get jobs, ate our food, destroyed our new daughter's things, etc. They literally ran us into the ground financially and mentally. When they moved out, they took half of our stuff without permission. It was very rough on me and my boyfriend's relationship for a lot of reasons. Fast forward to now, and we have a house that will be a little crowded once my new child gets here. But other than that, financially we are doing better. They're guilt-tripping my boyfriend to move in, because we have the means to help them and they want to help with the grandkids. But honestly, I don't want a repeat of last time, and I want my family to enjoy the new addition without the extra stress. I've offered to help in any way we can. Again, I do love them, and will do almost anything shy of letting them move in. It's causing some friction between us and his family, and my boyfriend is kind of stuck in the middle. I don't want them homeless or struggling, but man, I just cannot do it again. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Just to clarify, my boyfriend agrees with me. The problem for him is that they are relentless in their constant attacks of him, and are literally holding any and everything against him, to the point that he considered it mainly so it could stop. He loves his mom and brother, and the thought of them homeless does freak him out a little. The family came to me because they thought they could get in that way. They are essentially making us both feel like a-holes for not allowing them to move in, so close to Christmas with no other options, and enjoying Christmas while they barely have food. Their words. Now for the top comments. I know this will be unpopular and downvoted to oblivion, but if this household has 4 physical capable adults, and between the 4 of them is repeatedly unable to pay for basic shelter, there is a bigger issue. Money mismanagement, addiction, laziness, poor planning. Whatever this issue is, something major is behind these bouts of homelessness, and since apparently none of them has identified or addressed it, it's unlikely to get better in the near future. Yes, there is a pandemic causing huge unemployment, which makes things much harder for everybody. But again, between 4 adults, there should be at least one of them who can find some sort of income from some source. You've already tried helping them by letting them move in, so you know exactly what it will be like. They will not clean, contribute, or take care of your things, adding only chaos to your house. You can't solve their issue for them. You can only sort of help them at great cost to yourself and to your children. Is this what you want your children to see and learn? Not an a-hole if you don't let them move in. See, that was my thoughts too. We tried lending money, doing everything we could. They're honestly kind of lazy, and feel that since we have money and decent jobs, we should be helping them. That's the issue my boyfriend faces in their constant picking at him, and using their love against him because he's not providing for them in their time of need. I honestly feel so bad for him because they are relentless, which is the only reason he even kind of considered it. Thank you for this. I felt so guilty. Not the a-hole. You tried this before and they abused your generosity. You don't need to try this again. This is something you need to agree on with your boyfriend. It can cause a major relationship problem if it goes untreated. Right or wrong, think about how much you want to fight this. Not the a-hole. You have been down this road and have no desire to do it again. Boyfriend needs to get out of the middle and get on your side, particularly if they literally stole from you and did not honor the agreements last time. It sounds like a traumatic experience. The first time around you could say you didn't know how it would be, but now you know. The freeloaders stole from you. What's even the question here for the boyfriend? He's outside his mind. You know better, so do better. This means saying a hard no, and reconsidering your boyfriend as a partner if he is even entertaining the idea. OP is not the a-hole. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to financially support my parents any longer? My parents, early 50 and healthy, both refuses to work. I have been supporting them financially for a couple of years now, but my husband, and frankly me too, are getting a bit tired of this, especially with a child on the way. A bit of background. My birth mother died when I was 3, and I've been raised by my paternal grandparents, who also supported me financially. My dad remarried my stepmom and moved to the other side of the country. We only used to see each other for a few days a year. I only lived with my parents between 16 and 18, then started college and later moved with my then boyfriend, now husband. During this time, I supported myself with academic grants and freelance work. On my relationship with my parents, they haven't been abusive, just unsupportive and absent most of the time. I feel bad to say this, but they never had any ambitions in life and were perfectly fine not to work, just do occasional gigs and be supported by my grandparents. I guess they were just never good at adulting, and not having the responsibility to raise a child didn't help. When I started pursuing a career in computer science, they told me I'm not smart enough to succeed and that I shouldn't bother getting an academic degree. 10 years later, I'm really successful in my career. Me and my husband are doing great financially. We paid all our debt, got a beautiful house we already paid for, and have some solid savings. My parents often tell me it was pure luck that I'm doing so great, not all the work and effort I put into it. Despite being free all day and living in the same city, they refuse to come feed my pets when we go on vacations, because they are busy and have other stuff to do. So I have to pay my cleaner extra to come and feed her. And yes, we hire a cleaner and a cook, despite the fact that my mother is free all day and could help out. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law sometimes helps us with these things, despite having a career herself and multiple children. They call themselves intellectuals, even though they haven't read a book in decades, can't even spell properly and watch bad TV all day long. When I told them that I won't be supporting them anymore in 3 months' time, they call me egotistic and a witch that only thinks about herself, and that I forgot how much they did for me, literally nothing. They even went so far as to accuse me of the fact that I'm willing to spend a lot of money on expensive treatments for my old, sick, and helpless 18-year-old cat, a creature who is completely dependent on me as its caretaker, but not on them. They also got pissed that I gave my old MacBook to my cleaner's child instead of them, after they broke the iPad I gave them in a few days. I obviously don't want and won't let them starve and be homeless, but am I the a-hole for wanting them to be more independent and not completely rely on me? Or at least not to be so entitled and feed my cat from time to time? Not the a-hole. Why are you supporting them in the first place, when it's clear they've never really supported you in any way? You don't owe them this. Cut them off. You can't be gentle about it and say something like, I care for you both, but the family I've created with husband and soon-to-be kidlet deserves all my attention right now. I've done what I can for you, or something to that effect. You teach people how to treat you, and you've taught your parents that you are a doormat/piggy bank. Until you change your behavior, they have no incentive to change theirs. Not at a-hole, and no. The answer to people like your parents is to ignore them and move on with your life. They aren't even worth this thought. Don't expect anything from them and they cannot disappoint you. Block them from your life and move on. Let them starve and be homeless. They aren't your obligation. They aren't old or disabled. Or at least not be so entitled and feed my cat from time to time. I wanted to add to this. Make sure you do not live in a filial responsibility state. While there are many states that have this law, Pennsylvania and North Dakota are 2 states that have well-known trial cases. Not at a-hole. If they are homeless and starving, chances are they'll get a job. You're enabling this behavior by supporting them. Honestly, you're hurting them more than you're helping them.